So if that's our why, then the second part of today really is about, what type of leader should we be? And what we have at Adaptive Digital is we have this maturity framework. And what you can see in front of you here is our maturity framework that's got 7 levels to it. It's color zoned. And it's color zoned for the very reason that we're talking today about these profile types. What you can see in level 1, 2, and 3 in the gray area is where we have leaders that are still developing into a modern leadership type. So when you're in the grey zone, you're not really going to be able to instill, nurture and foster followership as a role model. You want to be able to enter into that orange zone. And that orange zone is not necessarily sequential. So it's not going from level 4 to 5 to 6. It's like positive psychology in the Givens approach. It's really understanding which one is the right profile level for you. So I'm going to go into that a little bit more detail with you now. And as I go through these, what I'd like you to think about is, if you are leading, if you are involved in change and transformation yourself, which profile type are you? So let's start with the Voyager at level 7. What you notice in the previous slide, I'll just go back for everybody to see. Level 7 is in a color zone of its own. Level 7 is in the blue zone. It's in the blue zone for one reason. The Voyager level 7 leader is the leader that wakes up in the morning and wants to change the world. So these really are the entrepreneurial mindsets. They are focused on changing the world. That's the passion and motivation for them. It's not changing the system. It's not changing the organization that they're working with. They are motivated by changing the world, and they are thinking big. They're like innovators. They do not need proof to move. That's a really important thing. They do not need proof to move. They are very, very happy to voyage into blue territory and just have a play with it. But once they are playing with changing the world, what they want to do is they want to keep pushing that world boundary. So they want to pass over to the next leader. And that next leader is the most important innovator leader that we need in our business change and transformation environments, the L6 Explorer. And the level 6 Explorer is the individuals within your organization that are willing to experiment with new territories when there is very little data there, but they are willing to push the boundaries to venture into uncharted territory. The thing about these level 6 explorers is, once they've found new territory, they're like the Voyagers. They're ready to move on. They don't want to move backwards. It's like the Vikings, right? What did the Vikings do? What did they do when they found new waters? They burnt their boats. They burned their boats because they knew they had to go forward. They didn't want to go backwards. So that's why they burnt their boats when they found new land, when they were exploring. And it's really that Viking kind of mentality that the explorers got. So if they're going to pass on to somebody, who are they going to pass on to? They pass on to the level 5 pioneer. And the level 5 pioneer is the larger percentage that we're talking around, about 15% of our leaders that we want to really help nurture into a pioneering mindset, which is the networked mindset, which is bringing connections together, which is experimenting with how are we going to colonize these new territories that the explorers have found? How do we do that colonization? Can we drink the water? Can we sow seeds here? Where is the best land that we can build our towns and build our houses for our new people, our new colony? So that's the pioneer. It's the experimental mindset. It's bringing things together. It's that networked ecosystem. Then we pass on to what we call the settler. And the settler is so often underrated and forgotten in change and transformation. The settler is the mass majority of our leaders. And a lot of the time, the settlers are found in our management, in our middle management layers. And the settlers are the leaders that are closest to our late majority and our laggards, which is really the majority of our workforce. These are the people that have got all that untapped potential and possibility for bringing the wider workforce with them. Now, just just one key point here, we're not necessarily talking about leaders by hierarchical label. What we want to be doing is we want to be trying to find these L6, L5 and L4, these pioneers and these explorers and these settlers out in our workforce environments, in our human systems. We want to be looking for them there. And we also want to be developing them in our more traditional leadership environments as well, because they've still got that label.